Hello, everyone. My name is Thilo Panzerbieder. I'm the chair of the German WASH Network, consisting of 30 German-based NGOs working in the field of WASH, both in humanitarian and development. And I'll be leading you through this little event together with my colleague Johannes Rück, who I will introduce a little bit later. I would like to welcome you all here on behalf of We'd like to welcome you all here on behalf of our partners. I think you saw them just on the slide. The German WASH Network is collaborating with IRC WASH, German Toilet Organization, and this is all part of the Nexus Triples initiative, which we will hear about in a few minutes, financed by the German Federal Foreign Office, where we're very grateful to. And yeah, I will be the one leading you through this little event. We go to the next, please. Just to give you an overview of what we will do today, we will, in a second, set the scene for this topic. We will have a panel discussion, which I look forward to very much. We will hear about this course, which we are launching today. I'm very excited about that, and then look forward to some interaction with you in terms of an open discussion. And just to give you an idea of where we're coming from to anchor this event today, sort of with some historical background, it was in 2019 that sort of the way the path started, which culminates here today. We convened a meeting in Geneva at UNHCR. It was the first time that, together with partners, we brought together actors pretty much in the equal parity between humanitarian and development actors, together with the two main coordinating mechanisms, Global WASH Cluster and Sanitation and Water for All. And the outcomes of this meeting informed the creation of an initiative within the WASH roadmap. And it was jointly decided to create a joint operational framework with which to facilitate triple nexus collaboration in the field of WASH. As you notice, peace also became a part quickly of this whole process. So the triple nexus is what this joint operational framework highlights, and this course is now sort of the next step along that way. So I'd also like to use this opportunity to thank all the contributors of podcasts, films, the reviewers that helped make possible what we want to introduce to you today. In order to see who's now in the audience, who's here with us today, I would like you also, because we want to use this for Q&A later on today, to utilize Slido. You can just go to slido.com, or if you want, use this QR code. You give in this hashtag HDPEL, and then we'd love to hear from you, just to find out for those online where you are joining from today. Okay, so can people see that now? I hope they can see so we have Nigeria, UK, Jordan, the Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, which obviously we have several participants. And then I see also, others also from those respective countries. If you can see this, I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it at that, and maybe we just move to the next. And here it's very interesting for us to see that we have a lot of actors that are working more in a stable development context. For us, I think very, very interesting to see, because in the past at many events we've had more people coming from the humanitarian side. So yeah, let's proceed maybe to the third question. Yeah, okay, use that one. It would just be nice for us to hear, in your own assessment, how much you think you know about the triple nexus in WASH, and I hope that question is now appearing on your screen. Okay, and we see that we have a very broad mix of self-assessments in terms of knowledge, which I think is good. We're looking for feedback from some who already have a lot of knowledge, and obviously we're looking to reach those that that are looking for input to improve their work. Would like to hand over to my colleague. You see his picture on the screen here. You'll see him in a second, Johannes Rück. He's the German WASH Network coordinator. He was one of the leading persons in this initiative, which in the past years was led by German WASH Network, Sanitation, Water for All, UNICEF, and Global WASH Cluster. And he's a perfect person to give us an insight into what the initiative is. Johannes, over to you. Or just give us the context of that.
Thank you, Tito. Welcome to all. Exciting day, launch event. It has been a lot of work, which was put into effort of creating, the new learning course we're launching today. But now, before I introduce the course, we'll give you a bit of an introduction into the topic, and I think most important, as we're speaking, around 280 million people are displaced, migrants, and for the first time this year, over 400 million people require humanitarian assistance. So over 400 million people in need. This is a tragic record. What are the drivers for action for us? Of course, we see climate change, conflict, and water insecurity rapidly accelerating the number and magnitude of protracted and recurrent crises globally. And we all know, having this in mind, that the estimates say that by 2050, 40% of the world population is expected to live in constant water-stressed environments. So SDG progress, SDG 6, is severely off track, especially in countries prone to recurrent crisis or protracted crisis. Exposure and vulnerability to shocks and stresses exacerbate these challenges. For such reasons, fragile contexts demand 23 times more effort to achieve the SDG targets on drinking water than non-fragile states. These numbers are from UNICEF. There is a huge gap to finance resilient WASH services or systems. 60 billion per year is needed alone in fragile contexts. This is half of the estimated annual investment needed to meet the SDG 6. At the same time, the humanitarian system is overstretched. The global funding rate for humanitarian WASH needs dropped from 48 to 21% between 2014 and 2022. And if we look into the last years, the most recent years, it is still on very low levels. And interestingly, this is also related to the high needs in protracted crisis. In 2023, 91% of all humanitarian funding was channeled into such contexts. So in long-term crisis and protracted crisis. That's where the money is spent and where we find new solutions, different ways of working, so the humanitarian system is not overwhelmed by these demands. In 2022, Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General, stated that closer collaboration between humanitarian aid, development, and peace is the only way to achieve SDG 6. While developing the joint operational framework, we learned that humanitarian development peace actors share many common principles and also objectives, thus providing us common ground and a strong foundation for collaboration and the achievement of collective outcomes. In contexts vulnerable to conflicts and disasters, the nexus seeks to achieve or strengthen the resilience of the WASH system, shown here in the overlap of the Venn diagram, thereby reducing the humanitarian needs and advancing the sustainable development goals at the same time. In fragile conflict-affected settings, inclusive WASH services can strengthen social cohesion and thus promote peace or more peaceful societies. In contrast to existing isolated approaches, this nexus approach aims to enable successful collaboration between humanitarian development and peace actors. So significant structural barriers still exist. They must be overcome to break down the silos between the pillars. I speak of mandates, priorities, language, planning horizons, funding cycles. And I hope that we're making an important contribution to this with this initiative and today's launch event and the new offer. Okay, thank you. Back to you, Thilo.
Thank you, Johannes, for setting the context. And without losing any further time, I look forward to our panel discussion. Today we have three great panelists with us who will give us an insight into their view on the nexus and also on this training offer that we are today launching. First of all, I'd like to introduce, and I'd ask all three of them to please turn on their cameras because we want to see you and hear from you soon. First of all, Serene Malik. Serene, great to have you here with us as Executive Secretary of the African Civil Society Network for Water and Sanitation, and you. And also as Vice Chair of Sanitation and Water for All Partnership. You are a lawyer by training with a strong focus in the fields of water and sanitation governance and gender equality. I think many are aware of publications or tools that you've developed in the past, helped to develop for sector governance for state and non-state actors globally. And then we have Mohamed Amro with us. Great to have you here, working for UNICEF as WASH Cluster Coordinator Syria. Your background lies in urban planning and engineering, a Master in Development and International Cooperation, with previous positions at UNRWA, ACF, and in the past have also been with UNICEF, for example, Cluster Coordinator in the Palestinian Authority. And we look forward to also welcoming Lemessa Mekonta, Country Director of IRC WASH in Ethiopia, based in Addis. Lemessa is hydrologist by background with over 23 years of experience in the water and sanitation sector, with diversified and hands-on experience in different aspects of water resources, water supplies, sanitation, working for government, private businesses, and NGOs in various capacities, from the expert to the managerial level. So big welcome to all three of you, virtual clapping and welcome. Great to have you here and looking forward to engaging with you now. Let me start with Serene. Serene, just, I think in your position, it's nice to start and to sort of get a broad overview. I think there are quite a few countries where you represent NGOs in Africa that face similar challenges. On the one hand, perhaps not completely recovered from the pandemic, in many cases struggling with political instability or on the verge thereof, and the consequences of global warming. And the question to you, how optimistic are you that improved collaboration between humanitarian assistance, development, and peace building can be an important contribution? Looking forward to getting your views. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Thilo, and thank you for having me on this panel. Welcome to all, and really it's great to finally have this conversation. I know it's been an emerging one, and I'm glad that our network, including German WASH Network and all of you over here, have finally consolidated it and they crystallized, what it is that we're seeing. But more importantly, I think it would be in terms of how do we better package the evidence that we already have that water is a powerful vector towards peace building and conflict resolution. It is there. We see it across the continent. And I think this is a good start in terms of, how do we look for that so that we can, of course, garner much more support for the work that we're doing. Look, we were in Abuja very recently with the African Ministerial Council on Water discussing the Africa Vision post 2025 and the development of the new Africa water policy moving forward. Now, a number of things came up on the issue, of course, of water security, peace building, conflict resolution, but also which were the institutions that were absolutely key in terms of maintaining this harmony on the continent. Now, it had been found in our case on the continent, okay, we have these massive regional entities, and there were three that were identified being extremely critical to the work that is being done. The ANBO, which is the African Nile Basin Organization, ANU, which is the civil society umbrella organization, and the African Ministerial Council on Water. That these three were actually going to be absolutely crucial moving forward. But what do we have in common in terms of these institutions? We're actually homegrown. We're locally grown from Africa, by Africa, and this I think is really critical in terms of understanding our issues and better localizing it. Now, in terms of some of the efforts, we always say, yes, water is life. We all agree on that. But I think it's going to be more in terms of water connects. Because not so long ago, a number of countries, particularly where there's quite a bit of conflict, where there's quite a bit of a humanitarian type of interventions, the communities and the policymakers and the warlords and the leaders were being told, either way, you will have to get along because of water. Water will connect you. There will be a rapprochement, whether you like it or not. And I found that to be an extremely powerful statement in the sense that this will bring us together. This is where we're actually going to find the solutions. And we need to get along because, first of all, of scarcity issues, conflict, but also trying to maintain peace. Recently, and this is not talked about very much, we have a number of these basin organizations on the continent. I will focus currently on Africa, and I'm sure the others would probably speak on other regions. They're very understated, and it's not talked about enough in terms of how they actually maintain peace in the region, particularly, for example, in East Africa, where we're seeing, the delicate dance that is taking place between Egypt, between Ethiopia, between Uganda, between Kenya, between Tanzania, when we had the GERD come in. In terms of some of the biggest and largest refugee camps are actually found in the Horn of Africa. And this is actually
Serene, I think
led to the development of policies and practices by some. Do you hear me, Tilo?
Yes, we hear you again. You were just stuck for a very short time. Perfect.
Okay.
You can continue.
Okay, so I was saying, so for example, where you have these regional entities that do have a focus on humanitarian aid, again, which have been locally grown and locally established on the continent, such as IGAD, such as the regional economic commissions that actually have a huge role to play when it comes to humanitarian aid, but also the supply of water. That is one thing on the political and the overarching framework. More importantly, there have been certain issues, and I know Tilo and Johannes are known for this in terms of the issue of women and girls, particularly in humanitarian aid and water services and water supply. Just like we generally see that women are the ones and girls that bear the brunt of it, in humanitarian context, I can imagine it is a lot worse. So these are also some of the things that are currently being raised and better documented. So I think moving forward, having this e-learning launchpad is extremely critical in terms of ensuring that as practitioners, we remove a bit our blinkers we actually see what is behind the veil and design better responsive type of initiative to serve generally and particularly women and girls. But I would also say, as I mentioned earlier on, water is a very powerful vector for transformation. The work that we do within the water sector, all of us, in terms of having the communities support us in the management of this water, organizing the communities in terms of their rights, organizing the communities around water equally has a huge impact in terms of building the capacity for rights, pushing for a rights-based approach, but I think ultimately empowering people. So I hope this would be an excellent start towards the conversation, but also better framing our issues. Thank you, Thilo.
Thank you very much, Serene, for that reply. Very insightful. Mohammed, over to you with your background and experience in protracted crises such as Syria or State of Palestine. Why is there, from your perspective, a greater need for collaboration between these actors, and how do you think that can be supported and accelerated?
Yes, thank you, dear. Actually, just I will link it to what mentioned at the beginning of this session. We have less money and more vulnerable people in WASH. That's the fact now, that's globally, which means that we need to consider the efficiency of our intervention. I give you like specific example here. People in need for WASH support or water support in Syria now, it's about 13.5 million. This figure is almost the same since 5 or 6 years. So we have the same people who are in need every year. And the money we have is 30–20%, something like this, which means roughly 70% of the people who are in need, we are not able to reach them. The critical point that it is water, it's not something else, which means people cannot survive. We cannot say, okay, this year I will not support you, but maybe next year I will. So I will authorize others now with this small amount of money, which doesn't work, not logic for water, because as you know, we cannot live without water for 1 year or even 1 month. That's why we were looking for more efficient way of doing our work, especially that we're talking about more people, less money. And here we thought that this collaboration and cooperation between humanitarian development and peace actors could at least minimize this response gap. The important thing here about as you just mentioned, Syria and Palestine, we are talking about longest standing emergency, protracted crisis, that every year we need to support almost the same people because the emergency is still there. Things are not, at least at political level, things are not changing like fast. And here we thought about, what kind of resources we have everywhere with our humanitarian development and peace, and make this collaboration to ensure that any gap in development or humanitarian and peace, the other actor could intervene and they provide whether a sustainable or short-term solution until the long-term one arrives. So that was the critical point. And again, water is a right. It's not something that we say we can wait for it. So let's say it like that, water cannot wait. And since we have different platforms, development regarding the SDGs, the humanitarian, the HRP, even the peace ones, I guess this could facilitate this kind of collaboration between these actors. I here added talk also about the peace part, which is for me could be the most important. Unfortunately, in the time that the water or access to water should unite us around the world, unfortunately, many problems and conflicts are resulted by this. And in some contexts, water is being like materialized or politicized and being used as, let's say it, a kind of gun, let's say it like this, to affect or impact the conflict. So the peace actors here, their role is very, very important in one, facilitate, let's call it cross-border discussions in a way or another, to ensure that water is like a basic human need, should not be affected. And also at internal level, what we call it the small p, it's about the community stabilization and decreasing the social tension due to the limited access to water, to avoid any internal conflicts around limited resources. In the cooperation between the humanitarians who are providing short-term solutions and emergency solutions, and the peace actors who are supporting this kind of negotiations and facilitations of providing this access, development actors who are supporting long-term, and the organization of the sector as a sector, I guess I should say that the nexus here should not be something new. It should be something started from the beginning, but unfortunately, for many reasons, things were not working well in different places. That's why we can say that this collaboration, want to call it nexus, want to call it collective outcome, whatever you want to call it, it's a must. So it's not like an approach that you prefer or you not prefer. No, this is the only way to do things in complicated contexts and let's say long sustained crisis. Thank you.
Thank you very much for making that so clear. At the beginning of our initiative, we had a lot of actors who were saying bringing development and humanitarian together is difficult enough. How do we get the peace element in there? But I think you made a strong point for that. It is a central, very, very important thing that needs to be considered. Many, I think, need to go further along that path and learn about it. Thank you. So, Lemessa, with your experience in systems approaches, I think the Ethiopian context is really interesting because depending on the location, you have various levels of very accelerated development, at the same time, increased fragility. How does IRC deal with that reality, and why does Nexus require systems thinking approaches? Looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Thilo, and hi, everyone. As IRC Ethiopia, we are working in different parts of the country, urban, rural, in highland areas, lowland areas. By default, most parts of the lowland areas are vulnerable to drought. While working under all these contexts, we are applying systems approach. And here I want to underline that systems approach can be applied under different contexts, be it in fragile or be it in like more stable areas. The difference is the approach and the methods we need to follow, and also the duration it takes to see the impact or the real systems change. As a tool, we are using the so-called context analysis or diagnostic assessments at the beginning, which helps us to understand the reality on the ground, and also to understand the key actors who are involved directly or indirectly, or who are affected directly, indirectly by WASH services. This would help us also to identify priority areas for intervention, and also to identify entry points for intervention, irrespective of the contexts. In addition to that, it would help us also from where to begin, and also how to map our key actors, including local levels like communities or users. Irrespective of these stable and fragile areas, there are communalities. Even if the degree of the problem varies, some communalities are there. One is capacity gap or lack of capacity to plan, to implement, to monitor, and to report. In more stable areas, there is a better capacity than those fragile areas. Another aspect is the need for collaborative approach or collective actions. irrespective of stable or fragile, we need a collective approach to minimize the problem or to solve the problem. The third one, which is very communal to both areas, is about data, reliable and up-to data that can be used for planning and decision making. As I said, since you are working in both contexts, we are applying those methods and approach. Related to capacity, we are providing technical assistances through coaching, through tailored training, through on-job training, and a different approach, not only to local government partners, but also to consumers and also to other development actors, local development actors, and the privates as well. Coming to data, for example, it is about mapping the infrastructure, the wash infrastructure that are found in that specific locality. Be it in municipality, be it in a district, we need to know our assets, our wash asset by quality, by quantity, and by location. These assets help us really to respond timely whenever shock happens. And using, again, mapping of actors, we are supporting on a platform where those different actors can come together and discuss and identify problems and also seek for solutions. We are using the so-called learning alliance approach at district levels. This is a good platform to coordinate different initiatives, different interventions, and also to learn from one another. It really minimizes duplication of efforts and also maximize effective resource utilization. Thank you, Tilo, back to you.
Thank you, Lamesa. Thank you very much. I'm conscious of time. You've already made very many important points, all three of you. It would be nice maybe if in sort of a closing statement and segueing to the launch that's to follow, just to very briefly, I'd ask you to be brief, to highlight maybe the biggest value from your perspective, basically giving all three of you the same question now, in terms of capacity building needs or the gap that either this tool fills or that you hope is filled in the future. Where do you think is the biggest value added, or what do you think is the gap that maybe in a next step needs to be addressed? Because those are the things we will look at in a second. What does this offer deliver, and what perhaps needs to come after? So if I could ask you maybe in the same order, Serene, do you want to give us you've already alluded to the tool before and what it helps, but yep. If you want to add anything, maybe just in a few sentences, that would be great.
I think maybe just to reiterate the point that the tool should enable practitioners to look beyond the veil, to look as many variables as possible. And when it comes to designing, identifying, or even rolling out these kind of initiatives, and to further contribute to the case that water is a powerful vector for peace building and conflict resolution.
Thank you very much, Serene. Mohamed, from your standpoint, what gap does or can be filled in the capacity building realm?
Okay, not because I am a WASH coordinator, I will say it, but I believe coordination should be like the main focus, or at least the start of everything. If we will be able to, let's say, find the required tools and mechanism, or let's call it common platforms between all these actors to discuss a plan, implement, and refer to each other's, that could be like big achievement, or at least let's call it the right start here. If we will be able to ask like the humanitarian development and peace to come together, talk about the plans, about their concerns, about the gaps they have, this will be by itself, let's call it an open invitations for all actors to close the gap of each other's, to advise each other's, and to refer some cases or support to each other's. So I here to support the coordination part. And again, not because I'm a coordinator.
Not surprising, but very clear point, yes. La Mesa, how about you?
Thank you, Thilo. Yeah, the course like this, which is now being launched, has really many values, not only for WASH actors, but also for non-WASH actors. Communicating about WASH, about the role of WASH, how its availability makes a change, how its availability builds resilience, and on the other hand, how its lack negatively affects other resilience, how its non-availability ignites conflict and undermines peace, needs really to be communicated well, not only to WASH actors, but to non-WASH actors. So really, my point is about how can we well communicate WASH and its role to other non-WASH actors. Yeah.
Thank you very much, La Mesa. Serene, Mohamed, La Mesa, to all three of you, thank you very much for that interesting discussion and your view of what this this new course can maybe offer. Let's without further ado have a look at it. I hand back over to you to after a big applause, we can't hear it, but a virtual applause for the three of you. Thank you very, very much. I hand over to Johannes to give us a quick overview, and a course introduction. And Johannes, just to stress this, has been working feverishly on this together with colleagues from IRC and others who have contributed. I think you want to thank them also.
Sure, yeah, especially Dijen, who is with us here and will also be joining to answer your questions afterwards. Jeske Verhoeven, all the contributors like Mohamed, who has contributed with the podcast, and also the reviewers. But now I think first of all it's time to celebrate a bit because we're launching today something and I'm very happy about that. So the Triple Nexus and WASH initiative and the WASH Systems Academy, WASH, who's behind that academy, joined hands. And now we're proud to present you the course, Building WASH Resilience, Conflict Sensitivity and Peace. This course is about 2.5 hours and designed.
One thing, I think the black bars on the screen.
Okay. Designed to equip anyone with a better understanding of the humanitarian development peace nexus. This course is designed to give the fundamental understanding. As I said, it is heavily based on the joint operational framework aims to increase collaboration and coordination between actors. You don't see my screen? Oh, okay, I removed it. Okay. The course structure, there is a welcome session, a session introducing the Triple Nexus, and a session using the Triple Nexus. Altogether, these should approximately take you 2.5 hours, but these courses are self-paced, so it depends pretty much on yourself, how deep you go, how much further reading you take, how you use the different multimedia tools available. Here on this slide, you will see the different elements the course contains. So The course provides a very interactive and multimedia approach to exploring the nexus. You can listen to podcasts, watch animations, connect with others, with forum functions, create own materials, and more. So it's fun, it's interactive and engaging. And as I said, all WASH Systems Academy courses are self-guided and self-paced. I mean, there are some and increasingly more who are blended and also contain real webinars and presentations. But this course, as it stands right now, is fully self-guided and self-paced. Here on this slide, you can see how you get started. You can use the QR code to scan it or go to washsystemsacademy.org. There you can create an account if you don't have one yet. You need to confirm your email address if you need to create an account, and then you can start anytime and anywhere. And in the academy, you will find different learning journeys. And here on this slide, you can see them. And the learning journey marked here in green, building resilience, climate and crisis-proof services. This is the home of this course. It is the first course in this learning journey, but others also on climate resilience from other actors will follow. So the Systems Academy is working on making a greater offer on this topic in the future. And in a second, we will discuss that we are also not stop here and have further plans to enrich the learning offer here in the academy. As soon as you join the course, enroll in the course, you will always have this course overview on the left, and this will help to navigate you through the course. And then all elements in the sessions are always titled here, concept C. These are the elements which I showed previously on the slide, which show that you always move from a different learning method or tool to another one, to make this learning experience as good and suitable for every type of learner as possible. Now it's time for a short Q&A session. We don't have so much time, but we will now look into the tool again. So please use again the Slido tool. Maybe we can share the link again in the chat. I see now only the questions if we will send the recorded video and the slides. Yeah, we will. That is definitely foreseen. And now please feel free to ask practical questions or whatever. Even questions to the panelists would be possible.
Yeah, it would be possible, although we'll have to see in terms of time whether those would then be answered in the chat or how we do that. But I think particularly, first of all, a big congratulations to those who worked so hard to bring this new learning course about, and we're really happy that already I think 100 just through the advertisement of today's event, 100 people have registered for the course. And here come the first questions. Do you plan on translating it into other languages other than English? Do you want to immediately reply to those as they come
in? So there are no fixed plans right now. It was discussed. We will first develop the offer in English. The JOF is not yet translated to other languages, but this is also something we have on our list or wish list. It is definitely a good idea, and I think maybe Deechin can also complement. I don't know how AI and other tools will complement or help in the future so that you can maybe automatically translate.
Yeah, and we have another comment here. First of all, congratulations. And is this a living type, oops, where did it go, of training that needs to be adjusted and updated regularly based on contexts and synergies? I think that one of the reasons that you also wanted to start in English and maybe stay in the picture, that you that the decision was made to start it in English and go with that first, because maybe adaptations, particularly in that first phase, might be useful. Any other reaction concerning that question?
I mean, of course, we see many very different contexts and synergies. All types of crises are different in the different contexts. So we try to have examples from all over the place, try to look at different risks, vulnerabilities, and so on. But yeah, this at the moment is an introductory course, so it's more trying to build the foundation, provide common ground or establish common ground, align language, basic understanding of each other concepts, and so on.
Okay. Yeah, do you want to react to, we have one question to the panelists. I don't know if there are any digital solutions. I think it would be great if you could put something in the chat to maybe reply to that question. And then I don't know what this down here means in terms of if there's an outline.
I think there will be a promotional PPT, and then there is also a slide deck which you can download on the course webpage at the end in the resource section, allowing for cascading knowledge so that you can present stuff to colleagues. So yeah. And I think I see that there is, of course, always the option to enrich the course with more case studies. And it is like, I mean, and if you're engaged in capacity building, that's always the case. When we ask for feedback, we always get the feedback. We need more case studies, more practical examples. So we will also ask you at the end to help with that support. Get in touch with us. If you have any resources, case studies, please share.
With regard to time, I think it would be really, really useful if you did give us a short sort of insight into what is planned to come beyond this step. Before then, I think we need to close.
A first step we're envisioning is to complement the course with a key steps section, which goes more along the program cycle. So if you look in the joint operational framework, you find a last chapter on key steps that is not so far not included in the e-learning. That is more the process of making the nexus work. If you listen to Mohammed's last intervention, I mean, the whole process of coming together, coordination as a platform, then joint planning exercises or first assessments, of course, and then how you move towards more collaboration, more coherence, etc., along the program cycle. So that will be one of the next steps. And then we have discussed a few advanced course modules. And I have a quick, and now I hope it works. So we try to rearrange the whole settings. So I hope now it will work. That is a ranking poll, and here you should see the different options now on your mobile phone or your computer. Let me see that we. Do we still have the same problem? Question mark. Show results immediately, present. Why is it not coming?
Okay, but in that case, I think it's okay if people put their ranking. Maybe we can give the results when we share the notes from today, and I would just, I think, leave it at that. But we do welcome your input. It won't be lost if you
So the different options, I read them out, is there was always the suggestion to have a section on nexus and resilience financing. Another one would be a specific one on coordination. We discussed that with the Global WASH cluster. Conflict sensitivity and peace is an additional one. But here I also want to point to the fact that there is a new WASH for Peace guidance and toolkit from UNICEF. Anticipatory action and DRR was a topic which is not yet included in the Systems Academy. And another one is risk-informed programming and adaptive management. So I see that we have around 13 people already ranking. So
that will be useful input for.
Yeah. Currently, I can see that WASH conflict sensitivity, peace building, and financing are scoring the highest. So in the questions or now also in the poll, you can also suggest other topics, and you can also then send them by email.
Perfectly, or just write them in the chat. None of that will get lost. I think for us, it's just important to know, where the appetite is going forward. And
hi, good evening, good afternoon. Can I please make a comment?
And I think
yes, there's a comment.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
if it could be very, very quick, that would be nice.
Yes, it's very quick. I was also thinking the problem maybe we can consider, or you can consider, having something to do with social accountability and WASH, because people have demands and they need to hold decision makers accountable for the policies that are being developed around WASH. So having a topic on social accountability and governance, I think, will be a best.
Okay, thank you for that input. And if others also have inputs, please do write them either into the tool or into the chat. And I think with that, I think the biggest way that all of you can also help is, such a tool. It's great that it's there now, but what's very important is that you help us get the message out there that it is available. Of course, we're happy if many of you register and try it out, use it for yourself to progress and to learn. But please do share widely, because I think that's the best way that we can have impact, is if people are actually using this, and word of mouth is then the best way to go about that. So with all that being said, I just want to thank all of you today for participating. I want to thank very, very much the panelists and those partners and institutions that helped to bring this about, that provided case studies and any input that was given. So with that, I am almost formally closing. I think we will end the session here today by showing you a very, very short clip, 1 to 2 minutes. So if you have time to have a look at this, if somehow it's stalled with the way that we're able to present it, we will send you the link and so on in the documentation. So with that, thank you very much to everyone today for participating. Thank you so much.
Build WASH resilience, conflict sensitivity, and peace. What does it take to achieve resilience, sustainability, and peace for all? Securing safe water, sanitation, and hygiene have been simple.
This video, it's awesome. Yeah.
This rings especially true in times of crisis like armed conflict, natural calamities, or pandemics. When shocks hit, humanitarians often have an immediate focus, providing urgent life-saving relief. Once shocks subside, it's development cooperation that follows, reducing dependency, fostering capacities, and improving long-term services. Peacekeeping takes a preventative approach, monitoring and minimizing future conflict outbreaks. Each pillar fulfills a crucial role, but often operates independently. We need to change how we think and work together. 40% of the world is expected to live in water-stressed environments. Climate change is increasing the frequency and severity of extreme weather events, and globally, conflict is on the rise. Working together is no longer a luxury, but a necessity. By bridging divides and enhancing collaboration, we can minimize harm, maximize impact, and achieve better, long-lasting results. Synergies between humanitarian assistance, development cooperation, and peace building exist. It's time we acknowledge and capitalize on them. Sustainable access to services should be ensured universally, whether in crisis or stability. Building resilience, conflict sensitivity, and peace is possible. And the humanitarian development and peace nexus, a holistic solution that starts with you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and feel free to open your microphone and say goodbye in your language. All the best to you. Auf Wiedersehen.